a chronicle of the history and lore of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. In the grim darkness of the far future, there are heroes, there are monsters, and then there are the Dark Angels. To the Imperium, they are among the greatest of all Space Marine chapters, ancient, proud, disciplined, and deadly beyond measure. They have stood against alien horrors, demonic invasions, traitor legions, and the endless nightmares of the 41st millennium. But behind their noble image lies one of the darkest secrets in the entire Imperium. Because the Dark Angels are not just warriors. They are hunters. Hunters of the truth. Hunters of their own past. Hunters of the fallen. This is the story of the First Legion. The sons of Lion L. Johnson. The Unforgiven. The Dark Angels. Long before they were known as a chapter, the Dark Angels were the first legion of the Space Marines. Not the second, not one of many. The first. They were the original angels of death created by the Emperor of mankind, a weapon forged to bring unity to the stars during the Great Crusade. Before the Imperium stretched across the galaxy, before the Primarchs were fully reunited with their sons, before the Horus Heresy tore everything apart, the First Legion was already fighting in the Emperor's name. They were not simply soldiers. They were a template of what Space Marines could become. Disciplined, flexible, terrifyingly efficient, and entrusted with some of the darkest weapons of the Emperor's arsenal. Where other legions became famous for a single style of war, the Dark Angels were different. They were adaptable. They could fight as line breakers, siege warriors, armored spearheads, rapid strike forces, hunters, executioners, and secretive destroyers of threats the Imperium did not want remembered. Even among the Emperor's legions, the first was set apart. But the Legion did not truly become the Dark Angels we know today until they were reunited with their Primarch, Lion L. Johnson. The Lion was discovered on the death world of Caliban, a planet of deep forests, ancient knightly orders, and monstrous beasts. Caliban was not a shining jewel of civilization. It was a savage, dangerous world where survival demanded strength, discipline, and courage. As a child, Lion L. Johnson survived alone in the forests of Caliban. For years, he lived among the beasts, enduring where any normal human would have died. Eventually, he was found by the Knights of Caliban and taken in. Among them, he rose quickly. The Lion was not loud, charming, or openly warm like some of his brothers. He was distant, calculating, controlled, and almost unknowable. But he was brilliant. A warrior of incredible skill, a commander of cold, ruthless genius. And when the Emperor arrived on Caliban, Lion L. Johnson was given command of the First Legion. The Legion and the knightly culture of Caliban fused together. The Dark Angels became something unique. Space Marines with the soul of ancient questing knights. Their armor, their rituals, their titles, and their obsession with hidden knowledge all grew from this blend of Imperial war machine and Calibanite tradition. But even at their height, there was always something secretive about them. The Dark Angels did not reveal everything. Not to allies, not to other Space Marine legions. Sometimes, not even to each other. They became a legion of circles within circles, ranks within ranks, mysteries behind mysteries. Knowledge was not given freely. It had to be earned. And at the center of it all stood the Lion, a Primarch who was loyal beyond question, but trusted almost no one. During the Great Crusade, the Dark Angels carved a bloody path across the galaxy. They destroyed Xenos empires, crushed human tyrants, and brought countless worlds into compliance. They were one of the most powerful legions of the age. But then came the Horus Heresy, the greatest betrayal in human history. Horus Lupercal, the War Master, turned against the Emperor. Brother fought brother. Legion fought legion. The Imperium burned. For the Dark Angels, The heresy was not just a war against traitors. It became the beginning of a wound that would never truly heal. While Lionel Johnson fought across the galaxy, Caliban itself changed. Many of the Dark Angels left behind on the homeworld began to feel abandoned. Among them was Luther, once the Lion's closest friend and mentor. Luther had helped raise the Lion. He had fought beside him. He had stood as one of Caliban's greatest heroes. But over time, resentment grew. The Lion had become a Primarch, a demigod of war. Luther, though enhanced and honored, could never truly equal him. The gap between them widened. Pride, bitterness, and corruption found fertile ground. By the end of the Horus Heresy, Caliban was divided. When the Lion returned, he did not find a loyal home waiting for him. He found betrayal. Dark Angel fought Dark Angel. The sons of the Lion battled those who had turned against them. The conflict tore Caliban apart. In the final confrontation, Lionel Johnson and Luther faced each other. Luther, empowered by dark forces, struck down the Lion. But as the battle reached its peak, Caliban itself was shattered. Warp storms engulfed the planet. The world broke apart. Many of the traitorous Dark Angels were scattered through space and time. These warriors would become known as the Fallen. And the Lion vanished. To the wider Imperium, the Dark Angels remained loyal heroes. But within the chapter, the truth was unbearable. Some of their own had betrayed the Emperor. Some of their own had turned against the Lion. And if that secret became known, the honor of the First Legion would be stained forever. So the Dark Angels made a choice. They would hide the truth. They would bury the shame. They would hunt the Fallen until every last one had been captured, redeemed, or destroyed. From that moment on, the Dark Angels became the Unforgiven. This is what makes the Dark Angels so fascinating. They are absolutely loyal to the Emperor. They are defenders of mankind. They have saved Imperial worlds countless times. And yet, their obsession with secrecy has pushed them into deeply questionable actions. If there is a chance that one of the Fallen is nearby, the Dark Angels may abandon campaigns, ignore allies, withhold information, or vanish from battle without explanation. To them, the hunt comes first, because the Fallen are not merely enemies. They are living proof of the chapter's ancient shame. This obsession shapes everything about them. The Dark Angels are not like the Ultramarines, open and organized around clear doctrine. They are not like the Space Wolves, loud and mythic, wearing their sagas proudly. They are not like the Blood Angels, tragic but noble, their curse known among their brothers. The Dark Angels bury their curse in silence. They hide it behind ritual. They lock it behind layers of command. Most ordinary battle brothers do not know the full truth. They may know fragments. They may suspect there are secrets, but only the highest ranks are allowed into the inner circle. The inner circle is the hidden heart of the Dark Angels and their successor chapters. It is a brotherhood within the brotherhood, made up of those trusted with knowledge of the Fallen. To rise within the Dark Angels is not just to prove martial skill. It is to prove loyalty, discipline, silence, and the ability to carry a terrible truth without breaking. This is why the Dark Angels have such a strong knightly identity. They are warrior monks, crusaders, judges, and executioners. Their fortress monastery is not a normal fortress on a planet. It is the Rock, a colossal mobile stronghold built around a surviving fragment of Caliban itself. The Rock is more than a base. It is a symbol, a piece of their dead homeworld, a fortress of secrets moving through the stars. Within its ancient halls are armories, reliquaries, prison cells, chapels, and hidden chambers known only to the highest of the chapter. The Dark Angels do not simply live aboard the rock. They haunt it. Their organization is also iconic. The main body of the chapter, often called the Green Wing, wears the dark green armor most associated with the Dark Angels. These warriors form the backbone of the chapter's battlefield strength. Tactical Marines, Intercessors, Hellblasters, Dreadnoughts, tanks, and all the devastating force expected from the Adeptus Astartes. But the Dark Angels are especially famous for two elite formations, the Death Wing and the Raven Wing. The Death Wing is the first company of the Dark Angels. These are the chapter's veteran warriors, clad mostly in bone-white Terminator armor. They are relentless, experienced, and entrusted with some of the chapter's deepest secrets. When the Death Wing arrive, it means the Dark Angels are facing something truly dangerous, or something that must never be allowed to escape. They are the mailed fist of the chapter, teleporting into the heart of battle, crushing enemies with storm bolters, power fists, thunder hammers, and ancient weapons of war. The Raven Wing, by contrast, are speed and pursuit made manifest. Clad in black armor, they ride bikes, speeders, and aircraft into battle, striking with incredible speed. They are scouts, hunters, and rapid attack specialists. But their most important role is tied to the Fallen. Where the Death Wing are often the hammer, the Raven Wing are the hunters who locate the prey. If rumors surface of a fallen warrior hidden on some distant world, the Raven Wing will be the first to arrive. Fast, silent, and ruthless. They pursue targets across battlefields, wastelands, cities, and war zones. Together, the Death Wing and Raven Wing represent the Dark Angels perfectly. One armored in bone, bringing judgment. One armored in black, giving chase. Both serving the secret war that defines the chapter. The Dark Angels have some of the most striking characters in Warhammer 40,000. Azrael, Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angels, is the chapter's current master and one of the most respected Space Marine commanders in the Imperium. He bears the burden of leading not just a chapter, but a legacy of secrets stretching back 10,000 years. Belial, Master of the Death Wing, represents the unstoppable veteran strength of the chapter's elite. Samael, Master of the Raven Wing, he was the youngest Dark Angel to ever be inducted into the Raven Wings, is the perfect image of the Dark Angels as hunters. Fast, precise, and relentless. Then there is Asmodai, one of the most infamous interrogator chaplains of the Dark Angels. The interrogator chaplains are among the most feared figures in the chapter. Their role is not only spiritual guidance, they are also responsible for extracting confession from captured Fallen. To the Dark Angels, a fallen warrior may still have one path left: repentance. But that path is brutal. The interrogator chaplains seek confession, truth, and redemption through suffering. They are grim, even by Space Marine standards, and Asmodai is one of the most uncompromising of them all. He embodies the darkest edge of the Dark Angel's mission, the belief that shame can only be cleansed through confession, judgment, and death. But the story of the Dark Angels has changed dramatically with the return of Lion L. Johnson. For 10,000 years, the Lion was gone, hidden from the galaxy while the Imperium decayed into superstition, war, and endless siege. Then, in the era of the Great Rift, he returned. But he was not simply the Lion of old. The Primarch who returned to the galaxy was still a supreme warrior, still one of the deadliest beings alive. But he was also changed. Older, more reflective, less isolated than he once was. And his return has shaken the Dark Angels to their core. Because the Lion's view of the Fallen is not necessarily the same as the chapters. Some of the Fallen were truly corrupted. Some became monsters, traitors, and servants of chaos. But others were scattered by forces beyond their control. Some never fully understood what had happened. Some may still be loyal, or at least capable of redemption. This has led to the rise of the Risen, former fallen who have been accepted by the Lion and now fight at his side. That idea is explosive. For 10,000 years, the Dark Angels built their entire identity around hunting the fallen. Their shame, their secrecy, their hierarchy, their rituals, all of it revolved around the belief that the fallen had to be found and judged. Now their Primarch has returned, and he may offer some of them a path back. That creates one of the most interesting tensions in modern Warhammer 40,000. What happens when a chapter built on secrecy is confronted by the one person who knows the truth better than anyone? What happens when the sons have spent 10,000 years trying to honor their father, only to find their father has changed? The Dark Angels are now caught between old shame and new purpose, between vengeance and redemption, between the Inner Circle's ancient obsession and the Lion's return to command. And that makes them one of the most compelling Space Marine chapters in the setting. On the battlefield, the Dark Angels are terrifying because they combine discipline, elite firepower, rapid pursuit, and ancient technology. They can stand firm like a wall of ceramite, advance with grim determination, or strike suddenly from the shadows. Their plasma weaponry is especially iconic, reflecting their ancient armories and access to rare technology. Their Terminators are legendary. Their Bikers are among the most famous rapid assault forces in the Imperium. But what truly defines them is not just how they fight. It is why they fight. Every battle may have two wars happening at once. The war everyone can see, and the secret war hidden beneath it. To an Imperial commander, the Dark Angels may seem like saviors. They arrive in dark green armor, destroy the enemy and turn the tide. But then, without warning, they may redirect their forces. They may pursue an unknown target. They may refuse to explain their actions. They may leave allies confused, angry, or abandoned. And somewhere, deep inside the rock, another prisoner may be dragged before an interrogator chaplain. Another name may be struck from the records. Another fragment of the past may be buried. This is the tragedy of the Dark Angels. They are heroes who do not believe they deserve to be seen as heroes. They are loyalists haunted by treachery. They are knights whose greatest quest is one they can never publicly admit. And despite all their victories, they still call themselves the Unforgiven. Not because the Imperium has refused to forgive them, but because they have never forgiven themselves. This is why the Dark Angels stand apart from almost every other Space Marine chapter. The Ultramarines represent order. The Blood Angels represent nobility, struggling against inner darkness. The Space Wolves represent wild loyalty and mythic brotherhood. The Imperial Fists represent duty and endurance. But the Dark Angels represent secrecy, guilt, and the terrible weight of hidden truth. They ask a question that sits at the heart of Warhammer 40,000. Can loyalty survive shame? Can honor survive lies? And can a warrior who has spent 10,000 years hunting redemption ever truly find it? With Lionel Johnson returned, the Dark Angels now face an uncertain future. Their Primarch walks the galaxy again. The Fallen are no longer a simple secret to be erased. The Risen challenge everything the chapter thought it knew. The Dark Angels remain loyal. They remain deadly. They remain one of the greatest forces in the Imperium. But now, their greatest battle may not be against chaos, Xenos, or traitors. It may be against the prison they built around their own souls. Because in the end, the Dark Angels are not just the First Legion. They are the sons of a broken world, the keepers of a terrible secret, the Knights of the Rock, the Hunters in the Dark. And whether they find redemption or damnation, One thing is certain. When the Dark Angels go to war, the enemies of mankind face not just Space Marines. They face judgment. They face silence. They face the unforgiven. And they will know fear. Please, like and subscribe. For the Emperor!